He's a great hero of Israel, great military hero and a great political hero, and it's a great pleasure for me to have him say a few words to you. Minister Effie Eitam.
Good afternoon, good evening. I feel very privileged to be here and to talk to you. And I thank Mort and Steve and the very distinguished chairman we have that invited me and allowed me to have a few words with you, to you. I would like just to say one thing. I want to thank Mort, for being such a loud, consistent, if sincere, if I may add, sane voice for the Israeli case, a voice which is not enough recognized in Israel, and I believe that his contribution as the chairman of the ZOA will be recognized in the future, as I said, as one of the most strongest voices which stood for Israel at times of confusion and weakness from both sides, from the side of the American Jewry and the side of the Israeli leadership. So thank you very much, Mort, for what you do. So many things. I thought, what will be the right topic I should focus on in that short time I was given, and I would say very clear what I do say in the last 2 years everywhere. People are ready to hear, whether if it's in Israel or here in America. Kind of left-wing sabotage. Conspiracy. In the last 2 years, I traveled here and in Israel. I tried to ring all the possible bells and to beat all the possible drums and to tell the world, and especially to tell our brother fellow Jews here in America, Israel is again, and maybe not again, Israel is now in an immediate existential threat, a threat which is more serious than represented against Israel ever since it was established. It's again the ugly face of pure Jewish hatred, which now paving its way strongly, consistently, and in a very determined way to have weapons of mass destruction. Iran represents a problem which Israel never faced before, because even at the time of the independent war and the idea that at the end Israel might be destroyed and all the Jews in Israel might be killed, never a real threat of total destruction have been represented, whether it's from the conventional armies which attacked Israel at 67, the Yom Kippur War, and of course not from the terror organizations which are a problem and should be dealt, but Iran, it's an entirely different scale of a problem. If Iran will succeed to be equipped with weapons of mass destruction, then, God forbid, the whole idea of Zionism, of making the state of Israel the homeland and the state of the Jewish people can be reversed and denied. Because living for many, many years under that shade, even the button not being pressed immediately, the idea that Israel is surviving and living just because Ahmadinejad and his nuts, colleagues nuts, are not pressing the button, that will make a statement, a declaration that will change the whole status of Israel from being a solution for the Jewish people, turning to become maybe the greatest threat and the greatest potential disaster for the Jewish people. So I want to be very conclusive. I don't believe, and I'm coming with this assessment on a very solid base of knowing the facts. As has been mentioned, I spent 30 years of my adult life in the senior command of the IDF, and I'm now a very senior member of the Defense and Foreign Affairs Committee of the Knesset, so I know the facts. Iran will not be stopped by any combination of economic sanctions or some soft diplomacy, as have been suggested for so many, many years. We're wasting time, and we allowed those people to manipulate the world, to manipulate the world public opinion, and at the same time to move forward, being unstopped towards a very focused goal to have operational nuclear weapons in their hands. So they will have to be stopped by a military operation. I say loud and clear, and I know that such declaration might have immediate and also long-term consequences, but it's better to say it and put it on the table and make it a very clear statement than just to go on with this kind of self illusions and false expectation we have from a process which will never bring and provide the solution and the fruits, and I mean diplomacy and sanctions. Other words, Israel will have to act in the next 2, maximum 3 years, with or without a world coalition, and that will be the most pure act of self-defense, and it will need all the power, all the will, all the unity, not only of the Israelis, but of all Jewish people around the world. Because this operation will have also very broad consequences as far as the region, I mean the Middle East, and as far as the world order is concerned. You will ask me maybe some questions about our military capability to conduct and launch an operation, and I will try to give you the best answers I can without coming into details. But if you ask me what is the most significant obstacle standing in front of Israel to conduct such an operation, which is the most crucial decision which will have to be made by the Israeli leaders in the next few years, in the next, as I said, 2-3 years, it's our leadership. And it's a tragedy that the state of Israel really suffered from a leadership crisis in such an important and crucial moment, and that's the only reason why I'm in politics. I'm a retired general. I have already 5 grandchildren, and I could spend the rest of my life in my farm in the Golan Heights. By the way, you are invited to be my guest when you come to Israel. Let me know. Those of you who like, open, untouched nature, some horse riding, some hill walking, come and be my guest, and I will enjoy that very much. But I joined politics because I believe that Israel really needs some new kind of leadership, new characters, new ideology, and entirely new views about what Israel is all about, and what Israel really allowed to do in order to defend its very existence. Because, and we were talking a little bit about it before the meeting with a small group of audience here. You know, the current leadership of Israel, whether if it's a military leadership or the civilian leadership, the political leadership, is the second generation of Israelis. The first Israeli-born generation, my age, 50, 55, we were born in Israel, and we were born into Israel as a fact, as something that can be taken for granted. And we were looking at the founding generation of Israel as though they were a little bit how do you say? We thought that they were somehow exaggerating the way they were driven by the memories and the lessons of the Holocaust. Because we have to remember that when the Second World War ended in Europe and American and British soldiers found our grandfathers and grandmothers, and sometimes our mothers and fathers starving in those concentration camps, many of them became ash and bones, and the other who survived were skin and bones. Those people, whom 3 years before the establishment of Israel were Muslims, they were walking dead people. After 3 years, they found the motivation, the unity, the innovation, the skills to do things which we didn't do for 2,000 years. People who never held a rifle, who never had a plow, who never held a plow, who never built a house. They appear to be the most capable, the most successful innovators in the world, in all areas of life, because they were people who were equipped with two or three skills and understandings which we don't have. First of all, they were the best survivors in the world. They actually came out of the most toughest selection process, which life and death was involved, and they survived. And they had that understanding that Jews deserve to have a safe place on earth for them. And that is this goal, this mission is beyond any other commitments we have. And that made their moral system and moral priorities on the right place. And they knew that everybody who is raising his hand against Israel as a state, or against Israelis as individuals, and against Jews wherever they are in the world, because I flew to Entebbe to rescue Jews and Israelis who were caught as hostages just because they were Israelis and Jews. And I flew to the end of Africa to bring our Ethiopians, brother fellows, and we rescued them from the Sudanian desert, because the state of Israel is far beyond the responsibility over the direct Israeli citizens. It represents something much broader than that. And so they had that right priorities. And they also knew that the world can turn its back towards Israel and towards Jews over a second, over a moment, over a day. They knew this nature of hypocrisy and double standards when Jews and Jewish people are discussed. our generation, and we failed once and again to provide the needed characters and the needed policy and the needed moral system to make Israel able to defend and to survive itself in that very hostile area we live. We failed the second generation. Because most of the Israelis who were born in Israel and who were raised in Israel somehow became victims of these brainwash, of these, I would say, self-hated disease, self-hated contamination, which washed the minds and the hearts of so many Israelis, more senior than they are, more confused and more weak they are about the arguments Israel should have in order to defend itself, and more confused they are about the measures Israel is allowed to take in order to make it safe and flourishing. I would conclude, and then I hope you will have some question. I would conclude by saying that now we are establishing a group which I believe can really represent an alternative approach and an alternative view of what Israel is and how Israel should be and what should be the alternative policy for Israel's survival. You know few of us, you know me, you know Ariel Dad, and we are now trying to unite all those small parties which appeared up to now to be marginal political powers, to become a more united and more influential political power in Israel. I hope we should complete that unity before the election, so we can come up with people who are not just representing sectorial concept and representing some small groups in the Israeli society, but people who can unite the Orthodox, traditional, and nationalist in Israel into one camp, which at the end, I believe, will provide the next leadership for Israel up to the level of Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, etc. I will stop here. If you want to ask me more focused questions,